This book right here, Cults of Cthulhu, is probably one of the most important books any game master can have for any system they are running. Let's talk about why. Hi everybody, my name is Justin. Welcome to Game On, a show all about tabletop gaming, from RPGs to board games and everything in between. So we're going to talk about Cults of Cthulhu, a book by Chris Lasky, Mike Mason, and friends for the 7th edition role-playing game Call of Cthulhu. Though in the latter half of this video, I'm going to tell you why this book is important for all DMs of any system. So the first third of this book is to help keepers who want to run a campaign that heavily involves an already established cult in the Cthulhu mythos, either written by Lovecraft himself or his peers. We have cults like the Church of Perfect Science, the Esoteric Order of Dagon, as well as 3 other specific cults to Cthulhu. What's really cool about this first third of this book gives you details, very in-depth details about these 5 different cults that'll help answer questions that you didn't even know to ask. But let's start simple. It helps give a flowchart on how these cults are run. What the priests do, what the acolytes do, what the initiates do, how these are structured, how they came to power, the background of them, maybe who they serve, what they do to serve, how they recruit more people, how they keep people in this cult. I think it's very important to help answer those questions. If you don't know how to answer them yourself, this book will provide answers for you. Of course, you can always fine-tune and change things up. This does a really good job of helping you change things up to kind of fit your campaign a little bit more in-depth to your specific campaign. So it's really good for that, but what's also really nice is that it answers questions you didn't really know you had to ask. Like, how does this cult buy real estate and property? How do they buy big ticket items and fly below the radar? How do they make money? How do they launder their money? How do they pay off politicians and law enforcement? Do they purposefully fly below the radar? Or are they big, high-end, aristocratic people who want to be seen by the world? This helps you answer those questions. It also helps with you answering the questions of how these cultists stay in the cult and how they rise through the ranks. And each and every one of these cults has a really cool little detail in the back. They help you fine-tune the Grand Master of this cult, basically the head cultists, help you kind of figure out how this person acts, what they do, and how they have such a huge cult of personality, and also how you can kind of fine-tune it. Also help you fine-tune it to Pulp Cthulhu if you want to. It also gives you some stat blocks specifically for the Grand Masters and the High Priests of these 5 cults. On top of that, every single one of these cults has at least 2 different springboards for you to help set up either a campaign or even if it's just a side quest for your players as a game master. Okay, so I want to talk about the last third next. The last third of this book has a couple different things that are really important for game masters in Call of Cthulhu, aka keepers. So at the very end of this book, you're going to see 3 modules that heavily use this information that you're learning from this book. You're learning about all these cults, and basically these 3 modules that link together into a campaign help you learn how to best implement them. It's good for newer keepers who want to run a longer campaign but don't want to do something as grand as like the Masks of Nyarlathotep or Horror on the Orient Express. On top of that, in the last third of this book, you also have 25 new monsters. A good chunk of them are cultists because this is a book about cults, but there's also some, terrorizing alien-like monsters that are all basically based off of the cults that are in the first third of this book. What's really nice about this is that you can take these fine-tuned cultists and you can apply these plus the other tools that the monster manual part of this book gives you and apply them to the other monsters that you've had from other books, either in the Keeper's Handbook or the Malicious Monsters Handbook. So this is a really good tool if you wish to expand your repertoire of monsters that you can have. And then there's also things in here called like Cthulhu's Blessings and other fine-tuned details that you can apply to any monster you already have. And then it also gives you tools on how to make, I think they're called Grandmasters. They're basically the big bosses of a cult. So if you want to create your own big boss of a cult, or just make an NPC a little bit more souped up, this gives you the tools on how to do it. It also gives you the tools on how to convert all of this to Cults of Cthulhu, which is very important to me, because I like Cults of Cthulhu too. This also has 7 new spells, 6 new magical items, and then a whole bunch of stuff you can add to your game to help make it more exciting, and it works with every edition. You don't just have to have 7th edition, you can easily work this out into other editions of Call of Cthulhu. So before we get to the final part of our video, if you like Call of Cthulhu, make sure to subscribe to Game On. We're going to be talking about Call of Cthulhu a heck of a lot more. And make sure to hit that like button so that we know that you like this kind of content. And ring the bell if you want to be updated on when our first videos come up. Thank you guys super much. So I saved the second third of this book for last because I think it is my favorite part of this book. And yes, blah blah blah, I've been talking about Call of Cthulhu this entire time, but let me explain to you why I think that the second part of this book will help any game master in any system that they are running. The second third of this book teaches you how to create a cult. Teaches you how to create the charismatic cult of personality that leads this cult. It helps you create the sub-lieutenants, the priests, the lowest end of the totem pole cultists, how they're created, how they stay, why people want to join this cult, and how it is run. Not only that, but it helps give you random rolls, or you can choose on figuring out what that cult wants, and how they go about exceeding and accomplishing their goals. What's really cool is that this also helps you work out how does the cult make its money? How does the cult provide the cultists with the things that they need, such as weapons and housing and food? How do they stay above the radar or below the radar? Do they pay off the local politicians or the local police force? How do they go about laundering their money? How do they go about getting their supplies? How do they go about recruiting new cultists? How do they go about promoting their cults if they want it to be something that people know about? How do you make a regular person into a magical cult of personality that gets more people into this cult? It gives you a worksheet. What I really like is that it gives you not only just a worksheet, it gives you a character sheet for your cult. Your cult is a character, okay? It might be a large group of people, but this character sheet at the end of the book helps teach you and play this cult as if it is an entity, a real thing in this world. It's not just an organization, it is a character in your world. But Justin, this isn't helpful. I play Shadows of the Demon Lord. Okay, so let's take the word cult out and replace it with, I don't know, Holy Order in the Shadows of the Demon Lord, or Swoop Bike Gang on Tatooine in your Fantasy Flight Star Wars games, or Cyber Gang in your Cyberpunk game, or, I don't know, Priestly Order in your Pathfinder game. Take the word cult out of this and put any other organized entity that you want in your game into this instead of cult. And now you have a way to perfectly create an organization and how to keep it sustained. I've been using the word cult in this book because, well, it's called Cults of Cthulhu. Take the word cult out of it and put it whatever you want in there. If you want to run I don't know, a D20 modern game and you want to use the Mafia, instead of Cults of Cthulhu, let's call it Mobs of Cthulhu and just have the Mafia. Like I said before, create a swoop bike gang on Tatooine in your Fantasy Flight Star Wars games. Anything that has any kind of order, structure, in the game that is important, something that has people in it, a leader, any kind of influence on the game world itself. If you want to create a church in D&D, you can use this book. Instead of using the word cult, change it to whatever you want, and all of this will apply to that. And this is why I think every game master needs it. It doesn't matter what system you're running. This is a system agnostic. This just helps you answer questions and create a character sheet for your organization that you can use in your game. It helps you come up with ideas, helps you either randomly come up with ideas, select ideas, helps you think through the creation of your organization, and then you can implement it in any of your games. Again, system agnostic. Alright, so that's enough gushing about Cults of Cthulhu and why I think everybody should have this book, especially if you're a game master. But I want to hear in the comments below your thoughts on this kind of thing. Are you excited to have an official worksheet, workbook on how to create an organization? Are you excited to play an organization as an entity itself? Or do you think that it's not something that you need help with and you just have enough real-life experience on how to do it? Let us know in the comments below. My name is Justin. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you all for watching. Game On keeps going because of people like you who watch this video. Hit that like button and then subscribe to us, so thank you all to our subscribers. And a special shout out to our Patreon patrons. Yes, our Call of Cthulhu live stream campaign is coming in the beginning of 2023, so stay tuned and make sure to hit that bell icon so you know when those videos are going live. Thank you all for watching. Now grab a character sheet, grab some dice, and game on.